All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as the Niners look ahead to the draft season and what do the Niners need to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk about that because the Chiefs are the team to beat in the NFL. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And this video is also brought to you by Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Call my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Niners. Niners have had a disappointing year, a 6-win year. They missed the playoffs after being the favorite to win the Super Bowl. They didn't even make the playoffs. So obviously it was a hugely disappointing year. Injuries, all kinds of tragedies, scheduling difficulties, ultimately bad drafting came home to roost. Some ill-advised maneuvers along the way added to the mix. And so there you have it. The 49ers were not a very good team on a year where they had a fantastic draft class on the heels of a draft class in 2024 that produced quite a bit. The 49ers couldn't get it done. Could not get it done. And now here they are, and suddenly you're looking at an NFL landscape that is not just, it's the Chiefs and everybody else. There's an entire top tier of NFL teams right now that the Niners are not in. That tier includes Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston, Kansas City, the Chargers, Denver, the Rams, the Bucks, the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Eagles and the Commanders. I mean, we're talking about a dozen teams. The 49ers are suddenly looking very much like a mid-pack kind of a team. And they're not only not in the class of the Chiefs, they're not in the class of those other dozen teams at the top of the league either. So the 49ers are heading into what I think is the most crucial offseason of this regime, and they got to get it done. They got to get it done. And it really makes me think of when were they last in this spot where they really needed volume? And it was 1986. And I'm going to share the screen here and show you what that 86 draft looks like. Let me see if I can locate it here. Let's see. There it is. So this was the 86 draft. Okay. And it's nice and big and bold. You can all see it right there. So that was the 1986 draft for the 49ers. Their first pick wasn't until pick number 39, and it was Larry Roberts, who became a starter. And then they had pick number 56 in round 3, Tom Rathman, starting fullback. Pick number 64, Tim McKyer, 3rd round, starting corner. Pick number 4, also in the 3rd round, John Taylor, 76th overall. Their 4th round pick, Charles Haley, became a Hall of Famer. Pick number 96, became a Hall of Famer. How about that? Steve Wallace was a starting tackle on a Super Bowl champion. He was also a 4th round pick number 101. Kevin Fagan was a huge key cog on the 49er defensive front. He was pick number 102 in the 4th round. They missed on a linebacker named Pat Miller in the 5th round, but they found Don Griffin, a cornerback at a Middle Tennessee State, in the 6th round, pick number 162 overall. And then they had 4 more picks. None of these guys really did a ton. Jim Pop, Elston Stinson, Harold Hallman, Tony Cherry, the running back, probably had the best career. But basically, the 49ers had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They had a 13-man draft class in 1986. And they traded back, wound up with the 39th pick overall with their first round pick, which was technically a 2nd round pick, and then proceeded to start their draft from there. They had 1, 2, 3 3s, 3 4s, a 5, a 6, an 8, a 9, and 2 10ths. two 10th round picks. Of course, the draft now ends at the end of the 7th round. So those last 4 picks wouldn't even be, they'd be undrafted guys at this point. So that is what the 49ers did in 1986. And because Roberts, Rathman, McKyer, Taylor, Haley, Wallace, Fagan, and Griffin, because the Niners pulled 8 starting players out of the 86 draft, guess what? In 1987, they were really good. In 1988, they won the Super Bowl. In 1989, they won the Super Bowl. In 1990, they were really, really good, and they could have won the Super Bowl. They lost in the NFC Championship game. And a lot of those guys were key cogs for the Niners' deepest teams of all time, 88 and 89. Joe Montana's final 2 Super Bowls. They destroyed Denver in Super Bowl 24. Absolutely destroyed John Elway and the Denver Broncos. And Tom Rathman was in at that point. That's 88. That's 2 years. He was in his third. He was part of the 86 draft. So now it's 1988, and you got all these guys are young veterans. And Roberts and Rathman and McKyer and John Taylor and Haley and Wallace and Fagan and Griffin. These guys were a big part of why the 49ers almost won 3 in a row. They were going for the three-peat when they lost to the New York Giants in the 1990 NFC Championship game. So what happened in that 86 draft? All right. Well, the first trade, the Niners had the 18th pick originally, right? And they traded it to Dallas for 2 picks later, the 20th pick. And Dallas threw the Niners their 5th round pick to move up from 20 to 18. So they got an extra 5th round pick with that first trade. Then they traded that 20th pick they got from Dallas along with a 10th round pick to Buffalo. And for the 20th pick and the 10th rounder, they got the 29th pick, also in the first round, and the pick 56, which was in the beginning of the 3rd round. So now they've got even more picks. Then they turned around and traded the pick that they got from Buffalo, number 29, to Detroit for pick number 39, which was also a 2nd round pick, and pick number 71, which was also a 3rd round draft choice. So those, they traded back from 18 to 20, from 20 to 29, and from 29 to 39, and didn't have a 1st round pick, but wound up with 3 picks in the 3rd round and 3 picks in the 4th round. And they made it all work. They got 8 starters out of it, and it fueled the greatest run in 49er history. So now here we go. Fast forward to, January 15th, 2025. We'll stop sharing the screen there. Fast forward to the present moment. And now you've got 29-year-old Patrick Mahomes trying to win his 3rd Super Bowl in a row. You have the 49ers out of the playoffs. You have Andy Reid, who's basically 49 wins away from Don Shula's all-time win mark for a head coach. So the thought is Reid's going to stick around to try to eclipse that record, which means he's going to coach another, 4 or 5 years. So, and that makes sense, right? Because at that point, Mahomes will be, 35, 34, 35, headed towards the back end of his career. So over the next 5 years, the Chiefs are hoping to win, 5 more Super Bowls or, 3 or 4 more Super Bowls if they're being realistic, which all really sounds incredible. Well, guess what? That flies directly in the face of what the Niners' plan is. The Niners' plan is to get up off the canvas, rebuild their own team, and win their own Super Bowl. So if the Chiefs are on top for the next 5 years and Mahomes is on top for the next 5 years and they're just worlds better than everybody else, how are the Niners going to get back into the mix? Right now, they're not even in the playoff mix. How are the 49ers going to get back into the mix overall? So I put together a mock draft, and I went through and I made a couple trades like they had in the in 86, and I came away with this draft, and I'll show you what I came up with here. I traded from 11. Okay, so let's share the screen so we can show it to you guys. Let's take a look. Let's see. There it is. All right. Okay, so here it is. And I did this on the NFL mock draft database. So there's a lot of different ones. I like the NFL mock draft database because it has the most players. And if it has the most players, there you have the most options of what players that you can draft later in the draft, so on and so forth. And if you can, this is the only mock draft that I've seen though where you can actually get pretty much almost any player that's eligible for the draft. So it gives you total flexibility to take all the players you want to take. So that's why I like this one more than some of the other mock drafts, more than the PFF, more than the NFL draft countdown or some of the other ones that exist. Okay, so the first trade I made was I traded. Let's see. I guess we can't see it. Oh yeah, here it is. No, we can't see it. So I traded the 11th pick in the first round to the Packers in a deal that netted me the 20th pick overall and more picks. Then I turned around and traded, or I traded, not with the Packers. I forget exactly what team. Then I traded that 20th pick to the Packers, and I got their pick 23, their third round pick, and a second round pick from them next year. All right. Then I turned around and I traded the 23rd pick that I got from the Packers back to the Ravens for the 28th pick, and then their third round pick and a sixth round pick. So I was at 28. And then I made one later trade in the draft. I had pick number 137. I sent it to the Titans. I moved back 3 spots, and for that, I picked up another 6th round pick. So I made 4 trades in this thing, where the Niners made 3 trades in 86. I made 4 in this thing, and I moved back to exactly where I wanted to move. I had the 11th pick, and I wanted to move down to the late 20s, and sure enough, I did. So let's take a look at this draft class one by one, and we'll talk a little bit about these guys. Okay, so the first pick was Walter Nolan. And I really like this guy. This guy is really, really good. According to PFF, he was the second best defensive tackle in all of college football against the run this year. He's 6'3", 305. Started his career at Texas A&M. I'm an A&M fan, so I'm very familiar with Walter Nolan. This year, he led the SEC with 12 and a half tackles for loss. The guy is incredible, really. I mean, fantastic mover, really tough, good against the run. 305 pounds, good rusher. He's not one of these behemoth guys that's 380 or 360 or 350 or something. He's not a 2-gap monster. He's a pass rusher, but he's really strong. He can come off blocks. He's just a really good player. Did a nice job for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. So I'm starting my draft right there with Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss is where I'm starting this draft. Okay, so now I'm in pick 43. All right. And this is where, I'm going to start to address the offensive line. Alabama always has good linemen. The lineman they had last year, was one of the best offensive linemen in this draft. He went to Tennessee. This year, they got a kid named Tyler Booker, who was a 2-year starter at left guard, played 1 start this year at left tackle, gave up 0 sacks all year in the SEC in 715 pass blocking snaps. He had 87 knockdown blocks that led the team. This guy is your 6'5", 330-pound bulldozing guard. This is a guy who's going to be, you say, hey, you know what? I want to build a fortress around Brock Purdy. I want to build a big, physical, menacing offensive line that you can run behind, that you can pass behind, that can protect Brock, keep him upright, that can open holes for CMC and the other runners. Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama. Love this kid. I absolutely love this kid. This guy will destroy you in the run game. He will overpower you at the point of attack, and he will give the 49ers a guard tandem between Pooney and Booker that they will have for the next 10 to 12 years. Pooney and Booker are going to be your guard tandem if I have anything to say about it, for literally the next decade. And to me, that's becomes a major strength of your football team right there. So Tyler Booker is who I'm going with out of Alabama in round 2 at pick number 43. Now I have pick number 51 as well, and I'm going with Landon Jackson, a 6'7", 280-pound defensive end from Arkansas. This guy, there's faster defensive ends, But man, the speed that this guy plays at 6'7", 280 is really impressive. Started his career at LSU, transferred to Arkansas. The motor revs hot. This guy comes flying off the edge. He moves incredibly well for 280 pounds. He's strong at the point. He's productive. This guy opposite Nick Bosa would really be something, because you got a big bodied guy who, Bosa's more like 260, 265. This guy's 280. He's 6'7". He can bat balls out of the air. I love the motor. The motor just keeps revving and revving and revving. Landon Jackson, defensive end from Arkansas. I'm taking him with pick number 51. All right, the beauty of these trade backs is you get more bites of the apple. And at pick 75, I'm taking Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end from Bowling Green. This guy is awesome. He had 800-yard days this year. One of them was a 200-yard day. This is one of the best pass-catching tight ends in all of college football. Think of a Vernon Davis type athlete. He's not quite as fast as Vernon, but big and strong and powerful with great hands. Really good player. This is a guy who immediately is going to step in opposite George Kittle and give the 49ers a reason to run 12 personnel with the two tight ends, because this guy's going to be a major difficulty for opposing teams to defend, especially when you have Kittle on the other side. This is a high volume receiver. This guy can make plays down the seam. He's got strong hands. He can run after the catch. He's strong as an inline blocker. I have some doubts, I got to be honest, whether he's going to even be there on the board at pick 75. But you know what? He is in this mock draft, and that's good enough for me. Harold Fannin Jr., you are a 49er. All right, let's go to pick number 87. And this is where the draft, I think, starts getting really, really interesting. And I have the 49ers at pick number 87, taking one of my favorite players in this entire draft. It's Ty Robinson, the big defensive tackle from Nebraska. 6'6", 310. At times he wore number 99. At times he wore number 9. He's a versatile player. He's an honor roll student. He's a high motor guy. When I say versatile, I mean he's scheme versatile. If the Niners go to a 3-4, you can play him as a 5 technique. If the Niners go to a 4-3 wide 9, you can play him inside as a defensive tackle. What I just love is this is a big war daddy who just loves to play the game, and he's got functional strength. He's got a crazy motor, kind of a badass, And the Niners could use a little bit more glass cutters on their front line. And when I say that, I mean, I'm not saying that their line is soft, but I mean, you don't feel like you're in danger around the 49er defensive line. The best defensive lines there's a little bit of dysfunction there. There's a little bit of anger. There's a little bit of, I don't know about some of these guys. The best defensive lines of all time are not guys that you want necessarily babysitting your kids. It's a tough job. It's a tough sport played by tough guys. And if you don't have, the requisite toughness up front, you ain't any good. And so Ty Robinson, to me, is smart. He's tough. He's versatile. He's got a motor. He's going to find a way to play a role on that defensive line. And I'm taking him 87th overall in the 3rd round. The other thing about being a great drafting team is you have to be able to be flexible. Yeah, you might have one plan, but then when you see somebody on the board that, for whatever reason you hadn't planned to be there, you have to audible and be ready to adjust on the fly. And that's where the Niners are with pick number 92. Do they need Travion Henderson? No, they really don't. They could use a running back. I mean, CMC's got Achilles. JP Mason's been hurt. Isaac Guerrero, I don't think has running back instincts. They could definitely use another running back, but it's not necessarily a pressing need. But Travion Henderson is a blue chip back. And to me, he should go in round 2. And if he's there in 92 in the 3rd round, I'm taking him. You saw in the game against Texas at the end of the first half, you threw him the ball in the flat and he took it to the house. You throw Travion Henderson some screen passes. He's got great vision, great balance. He's a blue chip back. I mean, he's one of the best backs in the country and has been for a couple of years. He shared the job this year with Quinshon Judkins. Judkins, and Judkins is a damn good player in his own right, but Henderson might be better, and I kind of think he is. I think Henderson's going to be a great back. Now, who does he remind me of? A little bit of a guy who also played there a few years ago, who's in Baltimore now, or in not in Baltimore now. J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, I guess he was in Baltimore, huh? J.K. Dobbins. No, but he's no longer in Baltimore. He's in San Diego. He's in L.A. with the Chargers. He was in Baltimore. But yeah, Travion Henderson to me is an upgrade on J.K. Dobbins, and J.K. Dobbins is a damn good NFL running back. So that to me is the pivot in the third round. I know there'll be lots of Niner fans after Trey Sermon and some of the Joe Williams and some of their day three, Trey Sermon, some of the bad picks they've had at the top of the draft, Ty Davis Price with running backs. Travion Henderson ain't Ty Davis Price. I'll tell you that. So just trust me when I say Travion Henderson ain't going to be a bust in the NFL. He is not going to be another 49er third round running back that stinks. Travion Henderson's going to be a star. Okay, so put that down. Pick number 99. Okay, so now we're also still in the third round. We're pick number 99. Let's move down the board here a little bit. And I'm staying with the Buckeyes, and I'm going with Denzel Burke. Denzel Burke is a great corner. And he's got size. He's got strength. He will tackle you. He will hit you in the run game. The 49ers could use another corner. And, I mean, I still have a lot of hope for Darrell Luter, and I think there's some good players that they already have there at corner, but Denzel Burke would give them another big-bodied corner that could step in and start. Love Denzel Burke. And to me, at pick number 99, that's a steal. I also think he's a second-round pick, and in this mock, he's going 99. All right, now we're at pick number 111 in the fourth round. This is now day 3 of the NFL draft. And I'm starting my day 3 of the NFL draft, mock draft, with this guy, J.J. Pegues. J.J. Pegues is a defensive tackle, defensive end from Ole Miss. What he is just one of the best athletes in the country at 310 pounds. Lane Kiffin uses him as a short yardage running back. He uses him as a goal line back. I would do the same thing. I would cut Juszczyk and use Guerendo and J.J. Pegues at fullback. Is he going to play some defensive tackle? Yeah, he is. He's going to play some defensive line. It's not a full-time convert. I'm not converting him from D-line to fullback. I'm just using J.J. Pegues as my short yardage and goal line fullback. In addition to, he's a rotation player on my defensive front. He's big. He's athletic. What's really separates Pegues is that he is at 310 pounds, up at full speed in 2 steps. I mean, generally, 2-step full speed is reserved for guys who are like 180 pounds, not guys who are 310 pounds. But that's how fast Pegues gets his 310 moving. And that's why Ole Miss has used him as a running back in short yardage and on the goal line. And I don't believe I've ever seen him get stopped. He's at full tilt in 2 steps. As I said, he's 310. You can't stop him. He'd be an awesome lead blocker. He'd be a great short yardage back. Think Guy McIntyre all over again. Think Refrigerator Perry. Think, the Pro Bowl tight end in the NFL today. The All-Pro, I should say, tight end. There's only one All-Pro tight end in the NFL. And it's the Baltimore Ravens offensive lineman who has converted to tight end. He's a 300-pound, or I should say not tight end, fullback. He's the All-Pro fullback. Juice is a Pro Bowl fullback, but the Ravens have a guard, Patrick Ricard, who's 300 pounds, and they play him at fullback. And he opens holes. And he's really powerful, and he moves defensive linemen out of the hole in the run game. So that's what it takes to move out a defensive tackle. You better not lean on 230-pound Juice. You should lean on 310-pound J.J. Pegues. And it's time for the Niners to start kind of evolving. And the fullback position is the best spot to evolve. So pick number 11 is J.J. Pegues from Ole Miss. As you can see, I'm a big fan of Ole Miss because they got an awful lot of talent. And that's just Lane Kiffin recruits well, and they handle the transfer portal well. All right, now we're at pick 140. And this is what separates the men from the boys. All right, here is where If you really know talent, you're hitting right here, right now. And as you can see, there's a bunch of picks here. All right, let's go right down the list. Pick number 140, Marcus Ware, Montana State. Now, he plays right tackle at Montana State. I like him as a center. His arms are a little short, but this guy is a pancake blocker. He lives to just put defensive linemen on their can. He's a throwback. I love the toughness. I think this guy's going to play 10, 12 years in the NFL at the pivot, at center. And I think Marcus Ware might be a little early, but I really do like him. He's a brawler. He's a tough guy. He's a throwback. Give me Marcus Ware at pick number 140. Bye-bye Jake Brendel. This is the new starter at center, Marcus Ware, or at least the future starter at center. All right, pick number 176. During the bowl season, I started watching a lot more of Notre Dame, and I got to be honest, man, I think some of these players on the Irish are damn good. One of them is Mitchell Evans, the tight end, who, the Niners have George Kittle. We've already in this draft drafted Harold Fannin Jr. There is not really a heavy need for another tight end, but guess what? Mitchell Evans is just too good a value. This guy's got unbelievable hands. This guy's got some of the best hands I think I've ever seen on a tight end. This is like Travis Kelce type hands. This guy's got amazing hands. He'll catch it in a crowd. He'll hold on. He's 6'4", 260, good size. Really, he'll a try-hard blocker, a high character football player. But what really separates Mitchell Evans is this guy is a sticky-handed receiver, and if you put him out in the pattern, somebody's going to have to really defend this guy. I mean, Riley Leonard threw this guy balls even when there were defenders all over him, and he still found a way with defenders draped all over him to catch the ball through the sea of hands. Mitchell Evans is a highly productive receiving tight end. And at pick number 176, no brainer. All right, now we're at pick number 185. And here is where I really think this draft pivots for the Niners. The Niners need their future Dre Greenlaw. They need their future Azeez Al-Shaair. They need their future Fred Warner. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is they found Dre Greenlaw in the 5th round. They found Fred Warner in the 3rd round. They found Azeez Al-Shaair as an undrafted free agent. These undersized run and hit linebackers, there's a lot of them in the college game, and they're all projected to go, like from the 4th round on. So a lot of these guys aren't necessarily going to be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round picks. But I'm going linebacker with my next 3 picks, 185, 189, and 195. Give me David Benda from Texas, who had an interception against Ohio State in the national semi. Benda wears, I think, 30 or 33. He's 5'11", 235, and just a freak of an athlete. Just an absolute freak. That's pick number 185. Then I'm taking Eugene Asante, the linebacker from Auburn. Also an undersized guy, but what a motor, what a hitter. Eugene Asante just flies all over the field and makes play after play after play after play after play. Love him. And then at pick number 195, you know what? I want to reserve one spot in the draft for just that crazy hitter. And that's what Debo Williams is from South Carolina. He is a crazy hitter. I don't know what it is about guys named Debo coming out of South Carolina, because Debo Samuel came out of South Carolina, and now Debo Williams, 1 E in this Debo versus Debo Samuel. But Debo Williams will step up and smoke you. Now, he's a little undersized. He's probably more of a special teamer, backup linebacker. I just love this guy's ability to hit and run. He just lives for the violence of the game. You got to have a couple guys on your defense that don't give an S, and all they want to do is run and hit and destroy people. And that's Debo Williams. If this guy's got a chance to, play the ball or the man, he plays the man. I mean, this guy loves to hit. I mean, it's just this is an awesome hitter. I love this kid. Love him on special teams. Think he could be a Pro Bowl special teamer. Maybe even could be a weak side linebacker. He hits with a vengeance. I love me some Debo Williams. That's pick number 195. Now we're in the 200s. Now we're really separating the men from the boys. And the Niners still have 5 more picks. Pick number 201. All right. I'm going for maybe my favorite player in this entire draft. He wears number 0. He was an all-state wrestler in Nebraska. His name is Nash Hutmacher. This guy's awesome. He's just a big bear who plays with leverage. He plays inside next to Ty Robinson. You drafted his line mate earlier in this draft with pick number 87. Now you're at pick number 201. Go get his line mate. If you can wind up with Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher from Nebraska, you will have done a good thing for your defensive front. Hutmacher, as I said, wrestling background, unbelievable motor, plays a little upright at times, but he's got great leverage, great strength, and just a good old boy run stuffer. I mean, this is a big-bodied guy. We're talking about a huge man, 320 pounds plus, tall, powerful, anchors in the middle. Nash Hutmacher. Love Nash Hutmacher. In fact, I love this kid so much. I ordered a Nash Hutmacher NIL T-shirt. He was selling T-shirts on a website to support his NIL efforts because he's not getting big money NIL was, and I bought one of the Nash Hutmacher Nebraska T-shirts. This guy is awesome. You got to watch the film. It's really impressive. All right, let's go to pick number 226. The one thing that the Niners haven't done in this draft, no receivers. They don't know about Ayuk. Debo may or may not be on this team. Ricky Pearsall had his moments. Cowing looks kind of intriguing. There's obviously JJ, but some people feel like the Niners really need another receiver. But I agree, but you can't invest a high pick in a receiver. But man, if you watch this kid, Jordan Watkins at Ole Miss this year, he's not the biggest kid. I think he's probably 5'11", 6 feet. But man, he runs well. He was productive as hell in the SEC. I mean, they had some higher rated guys. Trey Harris is probably the best receiver in all of college football. That's his teammate there at Ole Miss. So he played in the shadow of Trey Harris. They also had some big time recruits there. And so Jordan Watkins was just kind of one of their guys, but he stepped up this year and was awesome. So Jordan Watkins to me is a really intriguing, fast, 6 foot tall receiver, but with vertical ability, big play ability, super, super productive in the SEC this year. Jordan Watkins at pick 226. It's a steal. All right. Now at this point in the draft, you're looking for guys who have traits or guys who fill a need. At pick 230, Kari Coleman. This is another Ole Miss Rebel, but this kid is really athletic. I mean, I don't know if he's a stacked backer or if he's a special teamer or if he's a defensive end. He's kind of an edge rusher. He hunts quarterbacks off the edge. He's a little bit undersized, but he could also play a stacked backer role. He could also be an awesome special teamer. I just love Kari Coleman. To me, this is the kind of athlete I want on defense. At pick 249, I'm going to go with BJ Green. BJ Green started off at ASU and then jumped to play for Dion at Colorado. He's a 6 foot, 260 pound defensive end who the motor just never stops running. Just never stops running. This guy's motor's always going. He's flying off the edge. That's what Coleman and BJ Green are. They're undersized rushers who, potentially can make the team or make the practice squad. BJ Green, as I said, 6 feet, 260, great balance, great strength, and very, very productive. He was really good at Colorado. He's a little undersized at 6 feet. Kari Coleman's a little undersized as well. He's not 260. He's more like 250. But Kari Coleman and BJ Green, two late round edge rushers who at worst are going to be backups or potentially, guys that could be practice squad rushers. But I love both those guys. I think they're both going to make it in the NFL. And then pick 255, the last pick in the draft. It's the goodbye Jake Moody pick. And this is where you take the kicker. And I don't know if he'll be there, but Dominic Zavada from Michigan is going to replace Jake Moody. Zavada had a really good year this year. He really was a solid player. He was 21 of 22 on field goals, including 7 of 7 from 50 plus. So he's a big-time kicker. The Niners obviously wanted a big-time kicker, and that's why they went for Jake Moody out of Michigan, and it just didn't work out. And now this is the way to move off of Jake Moody. You draft the next great Michigan kicker, Dominic Zavada, and you bring Jake Moody and Dominic Zavada to camp and let them have a Michigan kickoff all summer and take the best one at the end of the year. I don't know any other way to do it. I don't think they're going to cut Moody, but I don't think they should give him the job. He had a very disappointing year, and Zavada had a terrific career in the big house, just like Jake did. And let's have 2 Michigan kickers in camp this summer, and let's see how it all shakes out. So there you go. There's my mock draft, which has netted the 49ers some excellent picks. Walter Nolan, Tyler Booker, Landon Jackson, Harold Fannin Jr., Ty Robinson, Travion Henderson, Denzel Burke, J.J. Pegues, Marcus Ware, Mitchell Evans, Dave Benda, Eugene Asante, Debo Williams, Nash Hutmacher, Jordan Watkins, Kari Coleman, B.J. Green, and Dominic Zavada. So there you go. One man's plan to rebuild the 49ers. Now, it's a lot of picks, but I didn't invent these trades. These were trades that were thrown out. These were trades that were offered to me by this mock draft. And I didn't want to make it too crazy. That's probably 2 picks or 3 picks, probably more than the Niners want. But this should be the plan. Kill it with numbers. D tackle, offensive guard, defensive end, tight end, first 4 picks. And then you get in those middle rounds and you go for the value. And I went defensive tackle, running back, cornerback, a defensive tackle / fullback, and J.J. Pegues. Marcus Lair, a tackle that I'm converting to center. And then when you get past pick 175, then it's just, go for your favorites. And that's where I'm at. Mitchell Evans, David Benda, Eugene Asante, Debo Williams, Nash Hutmacher, Jordan Watkins, Kari Coleman, B.J. Green, and Dominic Zavada. All right. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube. Leave your comments below. I know there's a lot of people out there that won't agree with all these picks. That's fine. It's January the 15th. We haven't even had the combine. We haven't had any of the workouts. We haven't had all the all-star games. We really, this is an early look. But to me, the game plan's got to be trade back for picks that are high. If you don't know what you're doing, you trade up. Why? Because you're afraid of making a mistake, and the closer you get to the top of the draft, the higher the odds are in your favor. But if you really are skilled at this, you trade back and you accumulate more picks. And to me, after the Hargrave failed signing, all the depth that had to be traded to get that done, the nightmare of 21, 22, and 23 draft-wise, all coming home to roost, have put the 49ers in a position where it's time for them to trade back, accumulate volume, challenge themselves with more difficult draft selections. It's much easier to take a guy 11th overall and have it work out than it is to pick a guy, 28th overall. Simple as that. It's easy to pick Penei Sewell. It's easy to pick Nick Bosa with the 2nd pick in the draft or the 4th pick in the draft or the 6th pick in the draft. You can make an argument the top 10 picks oftentimes pick themselves. But the guys who really know the draft, the guys who really know personnel, They can find stars in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round, seventh round, undrafted. And the Niners scouts have done a really nice job a year ago. They need to do more of the same. Trade back, trade back, trade back. Get into the mid-20s. Start your draft there. Come away with 5 or 6 extra picks and make it count. And that's what's going to get the Niners back on the same beam with the Chiefs. It's going to take a 15 to 16, 18 player draft. It's going to take back-to-back good drafts. If you have 3 bad drafts in a row, which is what the Niners did. They had a nightmare 21 draft. They followed it up with a worse 22 draft and an equally bad 23 draft. Guess what? When you have 3 bad drafts in a row, it crushes you. And that's what the Niners did. Now, they had a good draft this year to save themselves, but it wasn't enough because those guys they're all young players. Takes a while. So if you tell me a team that's really good right now, I'll tell you're looking at a team that was really good in the draft, not necessarily last year, but in the 3 previous years. Like if you look at Detroit's the number 1 seed in the NFC. Why? Because they absolutely destroyed the 21, 22, and 23 drafts. You name it. Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Kirby Joseph, Amon-Ra. I mean, they all went those were all guys that they got in 21, 22, or 23. So that's how the Niners got here. And the only way out of here is to draft your way out of it. There's not going to be, we'll just trade everything for Myles Garrett. Nope, not going to work. We'll just trade everything for the top pick in the draft. And nope, not going to work. There are no shortcuts here. You're going to have to trade back, accumulate picks, and you're going to have to hit on those picks. And I believe I just did right there. So tell me what you think. Leave your comments below. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.